Welcome to part 2 of the Fordyce Trail. We decided we couldn't resist. We had to finish it. So we came back, we resupplied, and we are gonna take it on solo. Although, being that it's a weekend, it's a little bit busy here with buggies. So we'll go ahead and see how we do, and we'll take you along on the venture as we go up Winch Hill 3, 4, and 5, or the bypasses. We'll find out. Stay tuned.
So Peter just came up Luna's Hill, and as you can see, it's really dug out on the left side where the roots with the big buggies coming through. Then there was a giant rock in the middle. So we opted to go up the right side, which is still quite challenging because it has a lot of really dug out spots because the buggies have such big tires that they're creating these huge holes. And it's getting a little bit more difficult if you're on anything less than 40s to move through. As you can see, some of these holes are just massive. Peter's climbing Luna's staircase. We're just a little concerned about the truck tipping towards this tree stump back here. Whew! There Taco goes. There you go. That's right where you want to be. Yep, start turning passenger. You're coming down, front passenger. Perfect. Keep going, babe. This is quite a steep face that Peter's coming down at the end of Luna's staircase. So our next obstacle is Winch Hill 3. Feeling a little tipsy?
No, it's definitely just a big drop.
It's approaching the bottom of Winch Hill 3. You can see it's pretty rocky. It's pretty dug out from the huge tires too. Taco's running 37s, but some of these holes are just massive. We've seen some of the buggies that are running 40 plus. They're massive tires. Some of the locals were joking last night that 40s are becoming standard for this trail. Pretty hard for 35s to get through it now. Taco's looking a little bit tipsy. They're doing really well climbing. Peter's just trying to avoid a really large hole on the passenger side of this obstacle. That way our butt end doesn't go in it. But it looks like Taco's doing just fine. For it. So Taco is climbing these massively. Ooh, you might clear. Yeah. Oh, that looks sketchy. As you can see, Peter's driver's side rear tire is totally floating. But luckily, Taco's got enough height that his differential cleared that rock that you can see has a lot of fluid on it. So I'm guessing a lot of people aren't clearing that rock. So we've gotten to the infamous Winch Hill 3. And unfortunately, even the bypass is a bit sketchy. Mainly because the bypass is better for the short wheelbase. It's right there to the left and it's really close to the edge. So not really an option to take Taco through that route. So we're gonna pick a different one. Obviously to the right hand side is the big section for the buggies. Taco is not going to climb that without destroying itself, so we're going to go ahead and try and take this center line. Try not to dump Taco's body too bad. Well, we're going to try not to dump Taco's body at all, but we're going to try and come at this at an angle and go up. This is Taco's first attempt at this line. Hopefully it will be the only one he makes, but we'll see in a minute where the body goes. gotta get that driver rear tire to start climbing, because unfortunately his other side's not gonna give him a whole lot. Doesn't have a lot of traction on that passenger side. And that front passenger tire is in the air right now, giving him no traction. So it's gotta be all, wow, look at Taco climb.
Woo!
Woohoo, babe!
Holy crap!
Yeah!
That was nuts!
Taco rules! Yo, babe.
That was crazy. I could see that we could probably climb in that rut, but I was going, we're only gonna have 2 tires that are giving us traction. The driver's side, front, and rear, maybe. And I thought we were gonna basically just get up to a point and just winch it up just to avoid it sliding into the body. But that back tire held that line. It didn't slide down at all. And it was, that was crazy. It just walked up that thing. I was not gonna spin the tires at all on this thing, because I thought this is way too sketchy. It probably doesn't look that steep, but it's insanely steep. And figured, you know what, there's a tree here, we'll just winch to it. But wow, it just went.
That is amazing. And it climbed on the sidewall of your back tire most of the way up.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, go KO2s.
Yeah! So when they talk about the Fordyce being a challenging trail, it is. This, in fact, it's kind of hard to see, but it's huge rock and a lot of angle. But this is what is considered an unnamed obstacle. So it isn't even large enough to warrant a name. And here Taco goes. Unfortunately, Taco keeps spitting rocks. Woo! There you go, you're climbing, babe. I think. Whoa. There's a big hole coming, passenger. There you are. This is really loose, really steep. Some big rocks. Unfortunately, they're all moving around. It's gonna get a little tipsy. There you go, passengers coming down. So the buggies and bigger tires have dug some massive holes through here. So I don't know if you can see all of these stacked rocks in order to kind of help rigs get through. These are huge holes, and all of these rocks are moving a lot, which makes it exceedingly difficult to get traction. This is the other side that the buggies are actually trying to go up, and you can see there's a big mud hole at the bottom and a direct face on the side. So we're now approaching Winch Hill 4, which compared to 3 doesn't look quite as crazy. Not a whole lot of options though, other than go straight at it. Doesn't look like there's a bypass or anything. But the shelves do look a little bit smaller, but I imagine we have some bigger holes too. Peter's gonna try and stay as far passenger. There's some significantly very large holes to the driver's side. So we're hoping to get a little bit more traction so we can keep it as little tipsy as possible. So he's gonna run it high side. You can see Taco flexing there. Yep, go farther, driver. I think this is where you want to flip your back end. So Winch Hill 4 is super loose with big rock pretty much everywhere. So as you can see, Taco is struggling. Ooh, that might have made it difficult. You might want to turn a little passenger if possible. Ooh, there you go. You're climbing. He moved that giant boulder in his way, which can make for a little bit more complicated lines. Tried straddling a rock that is slightly too low to straddle. It's a huge rock that caught up his front end, but you can see, as you see a slider, pivot him into this awkward corner. Looks like Taco's finally getting some traction is actually a really steep hill, which we're trying to get him onto the first platform so that we can line him up for the other crawl. From the bottom, it looks pretty harmless, but once you get up here, you realize these shelves are tall, and this rock is slick. There you go! All right. You're on your slider. There you go. You want to start cranking driver to keep your line. So we're not sure about this second platform, whether Taco will climb this one or not. Could be super awkward here in a second. Straighten her out, babe! Looks like Taco's climbing. Look at that. Woo! And that's Winch Hill 4. And unfortunately, people leave a lot of garbage on this trail, which is really disappointing. So please pick up your trash. We're trying to pick it up as we see it.
Winch Hill 4, crazy gnarly. That is insane, that climb. The bottom section was definitely one of the more challenging parts just because all the rocks were super loose, and without having 40-inch tires and a short wheelbase, you really have to watch it. You know, you have to keep those rocks in the same spot so it'll climb. And then coming up to the actual true Winch Hill obstacle, I got kind of in a weird spot, kind of got stuck between the rocks, and we got it to back up just barely enough. We threw a couple rocks under the tires where we're getting some holes dug, and then I got my front end to just walk over just far enough driver where it would catch and climb the front end. And once it was climbing, it was pretty sweet. But then once we peeked over that top hill, man, that front was up in the air. We were super off camber, and then
so here's another unnamed obstacle. Which looks really, really sketchy. As Taco's trying to come through this crazy V. And then Taco's gonna have to climb this shelf here in just a second. So we're on our way to Winch Hill 5. But on our way there, obviously, Fordyce has a few surprises in store. You're gonna climb driver's side. So I think if you had a smaller wheelbase, that might have been a little easier. But with Taco's long wheelbase, that was a bit of a challenge.
oh!
It's a pretty sizable shelf. Overall, it's almost my height, but it's kind of a staircase. So you have one level, then the next level. So I'm just over 5 foot. So this shelf is pretty comparable to that. It's got a couple of different lines we could go up, but we chose the one that was least tipsy. Because the other ones were pretty, if we slid it all, it'd be pretty tipsy, really awkward. As you can see, Taco's angle. Woo! Taco climb! So I'm standing in the middle of Winch Hill 5. And we're gonna try and take this center line up, which doesn't look very steep, but it actually is pretty wet, pretty rutted out, and pretty darn steep coming up this. There is a bypass, but we definitely want to try the Winch Hill first and see what we can do. Yep, you're on a cut driver. Okay, you're tracking right where you want to be. Okay, you're lined up for passenger, straighten it out. Taco's back end can't climb the face it's on. I don't know if you're gonna... Babe, you're... Taco's having a really hard time getting traction. It's wet and hot. There we go. Taco's getting a little more traction. Okay. So now we gotta line him up on the front. Come on, Taco, climb. There you go. Okay, it happens. So we missed our line just a little bit, so we're trying a new one. All right, you're doing okay. We're correcting a little bit.
How's our back lined up?
So far, if you keep going driver, our back is gonna stay where you want it to be. All right. Let's check out passenger. All right, you're climbing, but you're about to fall. Oh, shit. All right. Start going. Okay, you're good. Keep going straight. Perfect, now driver. Woo!
Winch Hill 5! We made it. That was super intense. I don't know if that was the most intense of the Winch Hills, but dang, it's gnarly. This thing is so dug up and crazy. The lower section, we were spinning tires a bit just to get it up because of the mud, but then this top section, we basically were really just focused on where to put tires, and it climbed really very well in low range. Realistically, you can't really spin your tires on this top part of the obstacle because it'll kick it down sideways and you'll pretty much be going over, so it's super sketchy. Thankfully, we decided to try it because there's actually a tree right up back here, so we figured, you know what, we'll get lined up where we want to be. If it doesn't work out, we'll just winch up it. But it climbed, and the lower section, I was a little surprised it didn't climb slightly better. The upper section climbed way better than I thought it was going to, so that was crazy. Very intense climb. I think this is definitely a lot easier if you have a longer wheelbase, a lot less sketchy, a lot less likely to, you know, kick sideways and end up looking at sky. So we completed the Fordyce Trail.
Woohoo!
It was crazy. It is definitely well termed as being
Extreme.
the most difficult trail in the Sierra Nevadas. I think that is a very fair assumption. It is way more difficult than the Rubicon, mostly because it's so much more torn up and less maintained.
Yeah.
So if you're into some really high level of challenge and are a good driver, you can probably make it through without damaging your rig if it's not a buggy. And otherwise, if you want to play with the buggies, 40-inch tires seem to be the small tires around here.
So true.
And it's beautiful though. I'll tell you, I think that would be the main reason we would consider coming back here, is just that it's absolutely gorgeous. There's some really nice spots to camp at, and then here we ended up at Meadow Lake at the top, and you can take a look here.
It's just beautiful.
But it is super pretty, super beautiful. So that was a good adventure.
Yeah, it was.
It was pretty intimidating a little bit just doing the last part solo, but you know, with Faith doing all the spotting and us taking it slow, not trying to hurry, you know, we made it through no problem. So it's definitely doable. I would recommend not running less than a 37-inch tire.
Yes.
Just not that you couldn't make it, it's just the enjoyment factor. It's start getting really rough and not as much fun.
Yeah, because with the exception of the 5th bypass, I think all of them are pretty challenging, and then 4 doesn't have a bypass at all. So
yeah, well, 4 sort of has a well, does it?
not until
really.
you get 3/4 the way in the chute, and then once you get up to the top, it kind of has a bypass over that last rocky section, but you still have to get through the chute first.
It's interesting. If you're in for a challenge, this will give it to you for sure. So anyways, thanks for watching our Fordyce adventure. Hopefully some of the little clips here will be helpful for you if you're thinking about coming out here. and like us, we're watching some videos hoping to get an idea of how challenging it is. You know, and a lot of the climbs, longer wheelbase actually is easier just because you have a little more stability, but the downside is you really have to have good driving skill and get your tires exactly where you need them to be, otherwise you'll get hung up. So thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe if you enjoyed any of this. Otherwise, stay tuned for some of our upcoming adventures.
Yep. Thank you.
Quick tip, if you are running this trail, first of all, avoid it on the weekends, because this is a buggy playground, which is all the locals hang out. You definitely want 37s, in my opinion, to have any level of fun at all. And anything smaller, you're just going to be really beating your rig up a lot.